Ladies and gentlemen, I am so disturbed to report to you that fresh details have emerged on how William Ruto and Raila Odinga might have received millions of shillings in bribes from ADANI Holdings Limited, the company that William Ruto's administration had consulted to take over our major national infrastructure, including the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and our electricity transmission network. In this video, I want us to look into the shocking report that has been released by the US government on how ADANI Holdings has been dishing out billions of shillings in bribes to foreign governments and institutions in exchange for contracts, and the reasons as to why William Ruto and his broad-based brother Raila Odinga might have received millions of shillings in bribes before Kenya could enter into a contract with the ADANI Group. And without any further ado, let's get into it. Number one, the US government has found that between the year 2020 and 2024, ADANI Group had promised more than $250 billion in bribes to Indian government officials, and this was in exchange for solar energy contracts. Gautam Adani, who is the chairman of the ADANI Group, his nephew, and 6 other business executives were found to be guilty of this offense by the American government. The American Deputy Assistant Attorney General Lisa Miller on Wednesday disclosed that the ADANI Group bribed the Indian government so that the government officials could lie to investors and banks. And the reason was to raise billions of dollars and also to frustrate any case filed in court against them. In fact, American authorities discovered that the chairman of ADANI Holdings Limited personally met with Indian government officials to advance the bribery scheme, which took place between 2020 and 2024. And during this time, the ADANI Holdings chairman and the Indian government officials frequently met, as is reported. The evidence of their meetup has since been recovered by the US Department of Justice and includes cell phone conversations that extensively track down specific details of the bribe, a photograph of a document summarizing specific bribery amounts, and lastly, a PowerPoint and Excel spreadsheet analysis summarizing various options for payment and conciliation of bribe payments. The question is, if the ADANI Group could manage to bribe the Indian government so that the company could obtain solar energy contracts, what is it that can prevent them from bribing President William Ruto, who is the leader of the Kenyan government, so that they can literally take over any infrastructure that they wish? I think Kenya is more corrupt than India, and it is very easy for the ADANI Group to compromise President William Ruto, who is ever hungry for money and has been taxing the hell out of Kenyans. And why was the deal between the Kenyan government and the ADANI Holdings shrouded in so much mystery in the first instance, such that were it not for the Amenya, the whistleblower who released classified documents about the deal, we would have never probably have known about this deal. I tend to believe that based on this rotten trend, William Ruto might have received some millions of shillings, because a head of state in his right mind cannot simply surrender a national facility such as the JKIA to a foreign company in the name of public-private partnership or whatever it is that they call it. There is no doubt that Raila Odinga also received his share of the bribes that ADANI Holdings is fond of giving to governments before they can be awarded contracts worth billions of dollars. I say this because we know whom Raila Odinga is. This is somebody who cannot keep quiet unless he's also eating from the same plate and on the same table. And this is why, instead of focusing on his African Union chairmanship campaigns, and instead of focusing on the general African continent's well-being as a Pan-Africanist that he claims to be, he decides to release a useless statement in defense of ADANI Holdings Limited because he had most likely gotten his share, and therefore William Ruto, the president, had compelled him to release a statement in government's defense. Here is the tape.
I have a chance to interact with the PPP proposals in question. It is my duty to state what I know about them. I'm talking about ADANI Group of companies. And I've explained that this is a reputable company, by my knowledge. This company actually has done very many PPP projects. Otherwise, you're likely to try to condemn very reputable companies. as we see stories like ADANI Gate. ADANI company conglomerate is worth over $200 billion. It cannot be an ADANI Gate. Deal with issues as they are. If some people have made mistakes, let them own up that they made some mistakes. But do not begin to condemn innocent companies who are basically doing normal commercial transactions. We've seen firsthand what some of these companies are able to do, what PPP can do to an economy. And therefore what I'm trying to say is not to try to ostracize PPP as a concept. It's a concept that has worked very well around the world.
I think even that statement that Raila Odinga had read was given to him from State House and may have been written by somebody like Hussein Mohammed or even David Ndii himself, because this is not Raila Odinga's thinking. Don't forget that the likes of Opiyo Wandayi and John Mbadi, who initially were the biggest critics of William Ruto regime, started singing songs of praises to the ADANI group after they got compromised and abducted into the so-called broad-based arrangement. Masters John Mbadi and Opiyo Wandayi appears to be very eloquent in their defense of the ADANI Holdings Group. I am so sure that some millions of cash might have exchanged hands between the Indian firm and the Kenyan government executive. Here's the tape of the two broad-based siblings roaring like lions in defense of William Ruto and the ADANI Group.
We need to also be very clear as a country. There are some mega infrastructural developments that we cannot fund through exchequer. We must look for alternative financing, and therefore PPP, new as it is in this country, much as people don't understand it, we must make the citizens of Kenya understand PPP and understand that when we give out a project to be done through PPP, it is not selling. It is about concessioning that project to a private developer who works with us collaboratively to ensure that we have infrastructure that is competitive enough.
ADANI Energy Solution Limited have cumulative transmission network of about 21,000 circuit kilometers of power transmission lines and some 61,000 MVA transformation capacity. They privately own more energy infrastructure, this ADANI Energy, from my own investigation. They privately own more energy infrastructure than Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania combined as we speak. In distribution, ADANI serves over 13 million consumer meters in metropolitan Mumbai, that is in India, and the industrial hub of Mundra SEZ.
Number 2, the American Department of Justice also found that the chairman and CEO of ADANI Group and his associates attempted to hide bribery schemes from American investors, and this they did in order to obtain financing for solar energy supply contracts procured through the very same bribery means. At this point, no one can convince me that William Ruto awarded a contract to the company without $1 million kickback. And no matter how much English Raila Odinga and his dogs speak in defense of the ADANI Group, my mind is already fixed on the idea that the company is corrupt to the core. In fact, according to the US Department of Justice, ADANI Group has raised more than $175 million by perpetuating falsehood. Nothing would deter them from doing whatever they want in Kenya. William Ruto can decide to give them immunity from anything, and as things stand, I think the Ruto administration is prepared to work under ADANI's terms and conditions. Ni ile historia, wakishiba wananyamaza. At the end of the day, guys, this is just but my opinion. Do let me know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and hit the notification bell for more informative content such as this. In the event you are watching for the first time, please go over to YouTube and search for Patrick Odero so that you can find my latest analysis in local politics. Cheers.